So 5:31, we'll call the meeting to order. If you would join us for invocation and flag salute.
Please join me in prayer. Lord, we come to you tonight asking that you give us the proper guidance that we need in order to lead our city in the right direction for prosperity for all of our citizens and all of those who visit our city. We hope that you'll be with us here tonight in this chamber as we make decisions for the future of Durant, Oklahoma. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Would you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please. Here.
Vice Chair Knight,
Here.
Commissioner Kerr, here. Commissioner Horner,
Here.
Commissioner Newsom.
Here.
First order of business under consent items is approving the minutes from September 3rd.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Commissioner Newsom,
Yes.
Commissioner Horner,
Yes.
Commissioner Kerr,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knight,
Yes.
Chairman Jackson.
Yes. Under public hearings, 5A, consideration and approval for preliminary plat request for property located at Linden Woods, more particularly described with the legal below.
All right, this is the same property that we tabled from the last meeting of the replat for the 25 single-family homes with the future of 25 more being brought in after. The fire marshal had said that 30 or less homes does not require the second means of egress. So therefore they wouldn't need to see that submitted on the plans until the second phase of the single-family homes are put into place. And that is the only new information I have at this time on that.
Can we put up page 17 on the screen, please? So I understand the comment about the 30 homes. I guess my question or concern, I guess if we could do page 18 instead, I'm sorry, is the master plan obviously is showing more than 30 homes
With no
second means of egress, which is specifically what we had asked for, I believe. So to try to approve something 30 homes at a time is a concern to me. Do you know if that's been discussed or addressed by the applicant?
I was just recently, a few seconds ago, informed that they did have a meeting to redo the master plan to include the second means of egress, but they do not have that at this time. It is in the works.
Is the applicant here?
Representative for the applicants, yes.
So we don't know if we actually have funding. Oh, Thomas Tibbetts with Express Development.
If you would come to the mic. Thanks.
The master plan is just kind of a broad idea of what we plan to do. So we do have plans to do another ingress if it so is required, but we don't know if we're ever going to actually build those yet. So it's kind of a grand scheme to see what we could do, because even on the master plan you can see there's, I think, 120, 180 more apartments that possibly could go in. So that would definitely make the other ingress, but right now we're only doing the 20 single family or 25 single family. So why we're doing it in our little phases, but we do have, if we need to do the other road, we will do the other road, is where we kind of stand on it.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any questions for staff or the applicant?
That other road that you're talking about, is that bottom jog that comes back and hooks back into the initial road?
What we'll require, if they go with the second phase of these houses down here where that cul-de-sac is, there will have to be another road.
Okay, that was my question.
Whitney, I know you had some comments last month about this. Do you want to chime in?
I'm gonna be honest, from month to month, my brain just goes, and it's all gone. So whatever I was thinking last month.
Well, I know we
it's
shared a
not there.
concern with the means of egress at that time, but that was on the current 25 houses, which I do agree, if this is a full site plan, which they've said it's a possible site plan, I understand that. But yeah, before the next 25 would go in, there would have to be a complete overhaul of this plan, so.
I think the request that we had last month was for them to show on the master plan that we were going to have at least a planned second means of egress. Were you able to pull up?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it.
So the current plan is back on 17, which is just the very top right corner.
So the second row of houses around that second bottom ingress egress, is that a different parcel of property to this as well?
Yeah, if we can scroll up on page 17.
This needs to be that first. But even that looping around, when they move forward, isn't gonna work, because it won't be able to bottleneck back into Lindenwood and count as a means of egress, so.
I guess my question probably to the developer would be, I mean, what you're showing as a potential future, planning and zoning is saying they don't like, City of Durant is saying they don't like. Are you confident that you're gonna come up with something that, I mean, I don't know. Is there a second way out?
I do have
a big
to,
question.
yeah, I do have to say, and playing devil's advocate here, I understand your side that this is just a hypothetical plan, but it was submitted as a master site plan. So for us, that is what the site's gonna look like when it's all said and done, is what, when a master site plan's turned into the building inspector, that's how I see it. This is what you're saying the final product will be. I do understand that it is a hypothetical, but I do have to admit that when it was turned in as a master site plan, so.
Yeah, I mean, just another concern along those lines would be that, you know, on that master site plan, that's shown as community park or open space on that south end where that cul-de-sac, well, with the other page we were on, but, and a lot of times that's labeled as community park or open space because it's in a flood zone and it's unbuildable, so I just want to be sure we're looking at something that's possible. Versus approving a phase 1 and knowing phase 4 or 5 isn't even going to work. But I guess an alternate argument to that for us would be if they build 25 homes and get stuck at that point, then that's their own decision.
I sure do hate to have 25 and/or 49 homes burn because we've hit a bottleneck at the start of the neighborhood and nobody can get in or out.
We also have a length of road limit of what, 500 foot? Is that right?
I believe it's 3 or 500, one of the two, just referring to the little housing development off of University there that cul-de-sacs. I believe it's 300 or 500 for that same property. And I may and this is just a recommendation that might ease everybody's mind, and I know it's kind of tough to do with trying to see into the future, but would not be better for us for them to submit a full site plan of what they are wanting to do, that get approved by the city, and then we start approving the phases from that point on?
I mean, my answer isn't a definite yes on that. It'd be nice to see what they're actually planning versus, honestly, I feel like we're coming in here with the same exact thing every month, and we're not really getting anywhere with it. Be nice to know what the plan was.
Do you think y'all could do that before the next meeting, or is that?
I mean, yes, but we're already hitting kind of contour lines down there, so we don't actually know what's even feasible until we dig into it. Because we need to do the pump lift for the sanitary anyways. We need to go to do the pump lift anyways, so we don't know exactly where that's going to be, what makes sense. If we do 20, does it make sense to design out 50? No. If you can only do 500-foot streets, that'll drastically reduce how many units we can do, because those power lines ruin a lot. And so if they don't sell, I don't think we'll ever build them if they don't sell. If we have to, I think currently we'd have to bring in 50,000 cubic yards of dirt to raise up that little corner that you're talking about, if we don't do a pump lift. If we do a pump lift, then we can kind of work around it, but it's kind of, that's the best idea we have. We do have a solution for removing that cul-de-sac and then going down where you see the apartments or that street branch down. That's our solution to branch out that way, but we'd only do that if it made sense to build those other 50 homes. Otherwise, you would never do it. So what we're kind of, because that's what we did our meeting today, is what are we going to do? And if they don't ever sell, they don't ever sell. We've looked at doing student housing. That won't work because I don't think, apparently the school's already over vacancy. So we do have that, but it would increase our engineer scope for something that maybe would happen. Is kind of where we left it today. Obviously, we're committed to be here, but we don't know what it looks like, honestly. With the interest rates, will they go down? Will they go up? Will these homes sell? We build nice homes, I believe, in units, but I don't know. We've never actually sold our homes yet. We usually rent them out.
It looks like the closest road other than Linden Woods is Thomas's Way. Do we have any idea how long it is from that point to the end of this phase?
For the single family, I do not. I do know that they have opened up Thomas Way recently, but I do not know the length from the end of this cul-de-sac to that turnoff there.
It's more than 500 foot.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any other questions? Is there anyone who'd like to speak for or against? Any discussion? comments?
I mean, I don't have any objection to the homes. I don't know of any problems with the builders, anything like that. This is just a setup that if catastrophe happens and it hits in the wrong spot, 25 to 50 homes are burning and nobody can get to them. You're asking for a problem. So that's my problem with this. It has nothing to do with the project itself. It's just this is not a good setup if you have an accident in the exact wrong spot on Lindenwood or at the entrance to this. There's no way in, there's no way out.
I guess my question is, and I can't read the footage, but is this a conforming cul-de-sac, 500-foot cul-de-sac?
I believe fire code calls for it to be, I can't remember the actual footage, I don't think.
96
too far.
feet.
Yeah, so,
So if this is a standalone addition, is it conforming to the 500, whatever footage is required, the cul-de-sac, all that?
if it was to meet that number, it would require all that. I don't believe it does meet that, the current code of the 500 foot with the cul-de-sac there.
Okay.
So I have another comment, just food for thought on this particular project. I agree with the road thing. I think that's a mess to approve that without another way out. Another thing I picked up on is, so their rear setback lines on all these lots for the proposed plat is a 10-foot setback, and our ordinances require a 20-foot rear setback on R3. So I don't know if that's something that's already been approved prior.
No,
as part
this
of some
is just for the,
PUDs.
this is just for the
Okay.
platting of the land. This wasn't for
Okay.
the. I should have actually probably brought that up. None of this is for the structures that would be potentially going on each lot. This is,
Yeah, but this is for they're asking for a replat, and the plat would not meet our current ordinances with a 10-foot rear setback.
yeah. We got it in, I didn't even think to look at the lots, or the building plan, just because that wasn't what, my focus was solely on the plat itself, not the.
Do we have a motion?
I mean, I'll make a motion to deny. I think we need to get a plat back in here that, number one, meets our ordinances, and number two, meets our desire for a second means of egress before we start building houses on it.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Chairman Newsom,
Yes.
Commissioner Horner,
Yes.
Commissioner Kerr,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knight,
Yes.
Chairman Jackson.
Yes. Again, this is a recommending board to be heard by City Council next Tuesday at 6. Is that right?
Now, before we continue, just so I've got a good information, are we asking to look at an official full site plan of the full thing with the second means of egress, or a second means of egress for our current plating?
So I think this is my knowledge. I mean, but I think they could even present. I mean, I think they could present what they presented today, if the setbacks and that sort of thing were adjusted. But even showing a future, here's the road on how we're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't care if they build up dirt, if they bring in a lift station. I don't care how they do it. But
Okay.
we need some sort
I
of
thought
plan.
so.
We
I
need
just
some
wanted to
sort of
clarify
plan
before.
showing how they're going to get out of here. I'm not asking for grading and drainage on it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying something that shows here's how
The
that
full
road's
site
gonna-
plan that shows how we're gonna escape for the second means once it's all said and
Right.
done. Right.
Even though it is a preliminary plat, we still need to look at all aspects
Yeah.
of it, for it be the second means of egress, whether it be setbacks, look at whether it's 500 foot or greater. I need to look at all aspects so that they have a plan to move forward with. we're ready to move on to 5B. It's consideration and approval for a rezone request for property located. I'm not going to read the whole legal. Kell Switch, and what was the other cross street?
Sunnyside.
Sunnyside.
This is located right on the corner, the southeast corner of Kell Switch and Sunnyside. There was an application to rezone from A1 to R2 with the proposed use of a duplex going on the lot. Every property around this property is A1. They are being used for single family. Other than the north, it is a large pasture. Future land use shows this as low density residential, R1. There is some housing development of duplexes to the south that is, depending on the map you look at, is zoned R2. But I believe that that was done, from what I found out, was done quite a years back. So, and for that, I'll take any questions.
Is there plan to build a single duplex on this, or?
That's what the rezoning application just says, duplex. So I haven't had anybody from this development reach out to me regarding anything.
Looks like it says duplexes. That's what it looks like, multiple duplexes. I don't know if that DEQ will allow that, but.
That was probably my error on the staff report, but on the actual rezoning application, it just says duplex.
So Paul, I just want to make sure I heard you right. You said you have not been in contact with the applicant.
Correct.
Looks like maybe we have the
you're right
applicant.
here.
Somebody have to come up here because I can't hear that well, so I represent George Breeden. George couldn't be here tonight. So as far as the number of duplexes, whatever I guess the ordinances will allow is what he would request. Probably not more than 2.
I think the conversation was around sewer. There's not city sewer in that area, so I just want to make sure that it was communicated to the applicant, you know, that it may be aerobic or some other plan, but obviously that affects density.
I don't think he has any plans to build anything real quick, but obviously he'd have to work that issue out about his sewer systems.
Is there any question for the applicant? Any question for staff? Mr. Kelly, thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anyone who would like to speak for or against? If you would please come to the mic and state your name for us.
Hi, I'm Tony Brooks. I live just to the east of that. We share the same line. I would like to express my opposition to the rezoning. I know that we need more housing in Durant, but our little community, our niche, I don't feel ready for that. It's placing too many people in our area. We already have a ton of people renting in our little section, some without established rights to do so, but that's neither here nor there. The increase in population density would put a strain on our already increased traffic congestion. If you've ever been at that intersection of Kell Switch and Sunnyside, it's a nightmare, and it's caused a problem for trash collection. I know I have personally called the city several times over the last 5 years about trash collection and being 100% within our ratio to get that picked up. If you've ever driven down Sunnyside Road and Kell Switch, you would know that there is a ton of potholes, and adding more cars and more traffic would just increase that anymore. When they bought the property, I believe July 3rd or July 5th, I had already contacted the city multiple times about getting that yard mowed. It was about thigh high at that point, and it took me calling and emailing and calling and calling, and finally when I called Mrs. Polk, it got mowed on July 24th. So it was thigh high for several weeks, which caused, in my opinion, rodents to get on our vehicles and cause a lot of damage, because previous to that, the owner had mowed it, quite often. I'm also concerned about the property value in our neighborhood. If we allow more residents to come in to rent out, I think it would greatly affect the cost of my home, the value of my home. And in our area, we have a ton of foot traffic that has come up recently. There was a trailer just to the south of that property, the empty lot where they're trying to build, where homeless people were living. Drugs were being in there. Our neighbors and my husband went in and found evidence of that. We've called the police several times. I believe further down the road there is a heavy drug trafficking situation. So just the amount of people that are constantly around our home, being in our backyard, I don't feel like it's safe for my children to even go outside and jump on their yard, just because the amount of people that are constantly there. We're a close-knit community. I know my neighbors. I know that 3 other neighbors that I've spoken to do not want more people renting out, more people moving in. We want to keep our families. And so by adding more people in that, we're adding to the mix. Our neighbors know us. They know our children. I have a son with special needs he's nonverbal. All of our neighbors know who he is. We add in other people. They don't know who he is. They don't know his needs like my neighbors do. We've had break-ins. I know that I've called the police twice about my vehicle being broken into, but I strongly urge you to reconsider or not consider zoning this as R2 to add more people to our neighborhood. I just don't feel like it's a good fit for our family-oriented, close-knit community. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Sure.
George Breeden owns several units in this town, and they are highest quality, and that's what he will build here, is the highest quality product for a place for people to live. So it'll bring better people into the neighborhood and upgrade the neighborhood, and it'll be something that at least that area will have something to be proud of, in my opinion. So we'd ask you to approve it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against? Is there any discussion?
I guess I don't understand why this wouldn't be an epic example of spot zoning, because this is an R2 right in the middle of the whole swath of A. And I get that there's some R2 maybe a block away, but there's no R2 touching this, there's no R2 right on it, so I have a little bit of an issue with sticking an R2 in a sea of A1. Now, I will say, I do think that actually having a house or something on that property, a real residence, would probably help with the mowing situation, because I think there's a lot less likely to be good upkeep on an empty lot versus an actual residence.
True.
So Whitney, to that point, I have debated that today as I was thinking about it. So south of there where the duplexes are, should have been rezoned, R2, if not R3 probably. Across the street on Sunnyside, our future land use is mixed commercial and residential. And I know that it was described as low density R1, but I don't think low density is simply R1, correct? Isn't that R1 and R2?
From the map that I saw, I would say probably yes. I know it doesn't really define that, but medium to high, and then low density, or about your only two options. I know medium to high is your R3, so. From what I found, I'd have to say yes, but it's,
I think our future land use defines it as medium to low, or low to medium, excuse me.
Is there any other comments or questions? Discussion?
I agree with Whitney's point about potential spot zoning in a sea of A zone. I also think as Durant grows and ag land is converted to other zoning categories, that it's got to start somewhere. I don't know that R2 is the right start for that, but I think as we grow into some of this agricultural land, it's going to be spot zoning on some of these initial projects, or what could be considered spot zoning.
Mr. Kelly, do you know if the applicant,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what he said.
do you know if the applicant would be open to an R1 zone rather than an R2? Okay, thanks. If you would, come to the mic and state your name.
My name's Chad Tompkins. I own the property Kinney Corner across Cavender Lane, which is the back dirt road from Sunnyside. And I think my property is about the same size as this lot here. And I have an aerobic system. I have nowhere to put another building on my property because the aerobic system takes up my whole backyard. So to put multiple duplexes, I just don't see how that would happen with sewer without city coming in and putting in city sewer. And then duplexes, I don't know, maybe rent houses, yes, I would, be okay with that. That's kind of why I kind of bought out of town, was where we weren't going to be around a bunch of multiple apartment buildings or duplexes. I know there is some right behind us, but like he was saying, they've been there forever, and most of the people that live there have been there for a little while, longer than I have been at my place. I've only owned it for 2 years, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Just to make the point, this committee, again, is a recommending committee. Our recommendation will go to City Council. They're the ones who will make the decision. That'll be heard next week at 6 o'clock. We are also looking at the issue of zoning. So the sewer and aerobic and those things, they'll have to meet those standards. So it may not be possible for them to complete their plans based on all that. But this committee is looking at the zoning issue alone.
Just another one of my thoughts on this, and I know we've had similar discussions on other properties in the past, but I have a little bit of heartburn, so to speak, on a blanket approval of a zoning without having some sort of idea of what the plan is for it. I would appreciate if maybe the owner could bring that to us, so that we know whether they're looking at doing, are they trying to pack as many units on here as possible, or is this just looking for a single income property or a personal property or whatever that may be. Just throwing it into a zoning category that doesn't necessarily meet the surrounding zoning always just gives me some hesitation.
So would it be possible to delay this until we could come up with those?
We could table and hear it next month.
That'd be fine.
Thank you.
I'll give you my card afterwards.
What do you guys think? Just seeing if there was any comments about that request or if there was a motion.
Well, I'll make a motion to table till the November 5th meeting, I think is the next one.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Commissioner Newsom,
Yes.
Commissioner Horner,
Yes.
Commissioner Kerr,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knight,
Yes.
Chairman Jackson.
Yes. So the motion is tabled to be heard next month. Do you have a date for us?
I think it's November 5th.
So this should be November 5th at 5:30. I know, right? Is there any new business, Paul?
No new business.
Thank you. We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Commissioner Newsom,
Yes.
Commissioner Horner,
Yes.
Commissioner Kerr,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knight, Chairman Jackson.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.